Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from, everybody. It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, and interviews. Today is Thursday, September 29th. Hope you're well. Going to get started with today's live stream. Normally I make these private member-only live streams, but I wanted to make today's live stream public as there is a lot to go over, and it's been a while since we did some ticker requests. So come on, if anybody does have any ticker requests, make sure to place them in the live chat with the ticker and the exchange. That would be appreciated. And we'll get started here in about 30 seconds. We'll give it another half a minute or so for people to join us. I see we have quite a few people joining the live stream. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining. Smash the like if you could, and also let us know where you're tuning in from. All right, going to get started with the before market close video and public YouTube ticker requests. Again, as a reminder, if anybody does have any ticker requests, just place them inside of the live chat with the ticker and the exchange. That would be appreciated. Normally, I make these live streams private for private Power Group members, and we go live usually about 30 minutes before the market close. But I wanted to come on and do a public one today. This is about an hour before the market close, just in case we run long, but I see we have some people joining us. Welcome to the stream. It's Rod with Power Group. Going to get started. We'll do a quick market overview, and then we'll jump into any ticker requests. And I see we already have some people commenting, so I'll jump into the comments here in a few moments after I go through a market update. But I did want to remind everybody that I did post some new videos. Yesterday I did an interview with Alexandre Boyer, who is the owner of Analyse Cannabis, and he has the product called Weed Crawler, which is pretty cool. It's more tailored towards licensed producers, but he also has best bang for your bud, and that can be used by retail investors as well. And I highly encourage you to check that out if you're interested in the MJ space or any of the SQDC, the regulatory body in Quebec. If you're interested in finding out more about that landscape and sort of the framework there and some updates, they had about 97 new product SKUs, product drops that hit the SQDC. So that's exciting. But I did do that interview yesterday. It was fantastic. Went a little bit long, but I highly encourage you to check that out. It was a lot of value and always insightful from Alexandre, as always. But going to get started here, I also wanted to remind everybody that please be advised that due to tomorrow's National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, the trading will be impacted as follows. Not really much. Today we'll have an early close of Canadian fixed income and money markets, and Friday Canadian and U.S. equity and option markets will remain open. And just foreign exchange and Canadian fixed income markets, again, will be closed tomorrow. And then on Monday, everything returns to normal. Also made a post here about the S&P 500 breaking to a lower low on Twitter. If you're not following me on Twitter, you can check it out at Group Pow. And essentially just been updating it as much as I can. Most of it I update inside of the Power Group private community, so that's where I spend the majority of my time and efforts. But essentially, SPY is breaking to a lower low and losing 360.69, which is the lowest pullback since the pullback from the all-time high. And next support is 350 psychological, and then 325, which is the previous all-time high before the C19 dump. The reason why it's 325 is because SPY factors in dividends. So if you want to actually get an accurate representation, you can chart SPX, but SPY is actually showing in a lower. It used to be 330, but again, because it's factoring in those dividends, it did lower that previous all-time high. Also, watch for the bottom to be set around the third or fourth week-ish of October, as per the .com fractal perfection playing out. I suspect we will bottom a week or two before U.S. midterm elections. Then I believe the market will rally after that when we get the FOMC rate decision. I believe they will increase it by 25 basis points or maybe even zero. Markets will fly and may see a potential rally into the end of the year. DXY also on month 9 without any consolidation. So we'll be expecting a blow off top around 120, 125 in my opinion, and then a massive correction to around 110, 100, which will bode well for crypto and stocks and assets as a whole. But you can see here that as per the .com fractal, we've been following it quite eerily here at the moment. For those of you unfamiliar with a fractal is, it's just essentially you take the pattern and the candles of what happened in the boom and bust for the dot-com fractal. So we had the dot-com bubble, and now we have the everything bubble of 2022. So that was the only thing that we really have to compare it to at this scale. So again, not everything is going to play out perfectly, but this is the closest thing that we have to a blueprint on what we could expect. And you can see here that it's been playing out pretty much to perfection. And it's saying here that we could see another leg down into October. October is notoriously pretty bad for stocks. And again, lines up with my thesis that we could potentially bottom out a week or two before the midterms. Then we see a pretty big relief rally and monthly bounce here into the end of November. So watch for around the third or fourth week of October to potentially bottom out. Of course, we could bottom out before then or after that as well. But that's just sort of what I'm looking at here for the moment. And I'll keep everybody updated if my thesis does change. Also, Swift Chainlink announced cross-chain interoperability partnership. So this is a crypto that I'm extremely bullish on. Chainlink, I have it in my portfolio. I actually added some the other day, or last week, I believe it was. I did add some HBAR to my portfolio today as well, and I'm going to be looking at adding. I did add some MJ this week as well. I added TrueLeave. I bought TrueLeave MJ stock, the first time an American MSO. That's the first time I've ever bought TrueLeave, and it was my biggest position that I added this week in terms of MJ. Also added CureLeaf, Cresco, and Green Thumb, which I already had positions established in those. But my biggest dollar investment this week was into TrueLeaf. And like I said, my first ever purchase of that stock. So going to get started, we'll look at the crypto market here at the moment. So we are at risk of a 15-minute downtrend on Bitcoin with a high, low, lower high, and lower low. So we'll want to hold this low here at around 19,090 in order to negate that 15-minute downtrend. And if that would be the case, we'd expect some more consolidation on our higher level time frames like the 4-hour. But in terms of the daily time frame, it's a daily inside bar at the moment. So resistance is the high of yesterday at 19,773, support at 18,487. Break resistance, we continue the daily bounce, and break support, we start daily consolidation for the second day in a row. But at the moment, not really much to see. We're just watching the low here at 17,500. It's all about 17,500. If we lose that, we could be heading to 15,000 in a hurry. And then, like I said, after 15,000, we have no real support from the head and shoulders. We'd be targeting about 13,000, which also lines up with the 0.618 fib retracement. So if we do lose 17,500, which I would say it's about a 50-50% chance at this time. A lot of people are saying that we could see a pullback to around the 13,000 area. That lines up well with my confluence of my charting here and my analysis as well. But essentially, as long as we hold that $13,000 to $14,000 area, we could potentially see this type of wave 4 correction, and then one more final impulse wave and wave 5 higher, and maybe even a new all-time high. I know not very popular amongst, say, for example, blockchain backer is thinking that we're not going to set a new all-time high on Bitcoin. It's entirely possible. Again, we don't have a crystal ball, but if that 13,000 level does hold, it's entirely possible that that's going to be our bottom. And it's even possible that we've already bottomed out already. So one way to play it would be to start entering now with a stop below 17,500, essentially be risking less than 10% to make upwards of 60 to 100%. So that's some pretty good risk to reward. So if you are looking at Bitcoin, personally, I'm not looking at Bitcoin at all. I do not hold any of it in my portfolio at the moment, not even in my long-term account. I sold all of it on this run-up. We're around 45 to 50,000, and I could care less. I have no FOMO. I have no fear of missing out. I feel like the opportunity is to the downside or the risk is to the downside here, and there's less opportunity than there is risk right now with Bitcoin. Even if we go to $100,000 from here, who really cares at the end of the day, right? That's only about a 4x. So $1,000 investment into 4,000. You can invest in some of the altcoins and potentially see 10 to 20, maybe even 30x over the next few months if we do get that true alt season like I've been calling for. Initially, I thought it was going to happen sometime in September, October, but like I said, because of the because of the thesis with SPY breaking to a weekly lower low, and also a new low from the all-time high pullback, and potentially not setting a bottom here until a week or two before the November elections, that may delay our alt season a little bit as well. So again, watching for a potential bottom in stocks. That will also probably create a bottom on Bitcoin. If we get a bottom somewhere between now and the November 8th elections, we bottom out, we start to trend higher into those elections. And then after the elections on November 8th, we'll get the FOMC rate decision, so the Federal Reserve in the US. I think it's going to be somewhere around 25 basis points, maybe even zero. Maybe they do a complete pivot and they turn dovish and they stop temporarily raising those rates. And we know that the Bank of England is starting quantitative easing, so they're going to be printing more money. And again, just adding more confluence to that thesis that we could potentially see governments and around the world and central banks around the world take off their foot off the gas a little bit here with regards to the interest rates. And again, if that does happen, that would be very, very good for Bitcoin. And the fact that we're starting to see more money printing around the world is also good for Bitcoin as well. So like I said, lots of confluence that we could potentially set a bottom between now and November 8th. We bottom out somewhere around a week or two before the November 8th elections, and then into the end of November, we get that rate decision. I think it's going to be favorable, and then we'll see a massive rally potentially into the end of the year. We get a Santa Claus rally, right? So, and then potentially blow off top into, first quarter of 2023, and then we enter a pretty prolonged bear market. And this could happen, right? We could see this fractal play out from the .com bust. So essentially I just took this .com fractal and overlaid it, which is the blue bar chart here, and we could be targeting low 200s on the S&P 500, and we could potentially be heading to monthly oversold just like we did here. It took us about 750 days to bottom out. So if we look at 750 days from that time, we're looking at right around here, around February so early first quarter of 2024 is where we could potentially bottom out. Not to say that we're not going to have opportunity. Even if we drop here to, say, the previous all-time high, which I've been calling for, we could see a potential rally of about 22%, but then another potential monthly lower low. And then from there, we could see another bounce of about 30% off a low of around 280, right, on a loss of 300. And then look for a bottom sometime between now and 2024. There's a lot of people calling that, this could be the lost decade, a lot of macroeconomic experts, which is possible because if we take a look at where we bottomed at here on the S&P 500 after the .com fractal, it took about 750 days. We bottomed out around July 2nd, but then we came back up. We went to a new all-time high, but we didn't see much follow through, and then we even broke to a lower low. So by that thesis, could we potentially, or by that logic, could we potentially see something similar where we come down here, we bottom out, we come back up, we form a new all-time high, and then we come down and form an even lower low, and then in about 10 years or more, come back up and finally set new all-time highs? That's kind of what I'm looking at because of how aggressive we've been to the upside, right? So if we just take a look at the high, low, and then we go to a new all-time high, break to a new lower low from that capitulation event, and then we go off to new all-time highs, right? So something similar, and then we just look here on a potential move up, new all-time high, come back down, go to a new all-time high, come back. And this isn't going to play out to perfection. It's pretty insane how perfect the .com fractal has been thus far. But, this is just something that we can look at. History doesn't always repeat, but it can rhyme. And I do think that because of the aggressive move that we've had in the S&P 500, we could see that play out because maybe even longer, right? There's a good chance that this could be 10 to 15 years before we set new all-time highs. Why? Because from the lows of March 2020 C19 dump, we're up about 125%. Now, the average, I've been saying this for a long time, the average annual rate of return on the S&P 500 is about 12%. So we got 10 years worth of gains condensed in 2 years on the S&P 500. So the more aggressive the move up, the more aggressive the move down, right? And this is something that I'm looking at. And if this does happen, if we come back up and then break to another lower low after a massive relief rally, we could see as low as 200, maybe even below on the S&P 500. So again, not to say that there won't be opportunities to go long and play the bounces, but even Bitcoin could do something similar where, we bottom out, we see a relief rally, maybe we come down as low as 13,000, and then we come up, maybe hit 40, 50,000, and then we could go all the way back down to 5,000, maybe even 3,000 again, right? And this has to be expected, right? When you go from $3,000 all the way up to $70,000, right, on an asset, and if you look at the amount of gains, right, millions of percentage points of gains in, just a decade, right, a little over a decade that it's been in existence, you need to expect massive moves to the downside as well. And we still have yet to see a Bitcoin spot ETF get approved. That's something that could happen as well. We have the Bitcoin halving in 2024, which will essentially cut the mining reward back by half. But there's also speculation that Bitcoin could transition to proof of stake, just like Ethereum just did. So, like I said, SPY breaking to a new lower low, and I've been saying that I've been calling for about 330, which is our previous all-time high, 330, 320s. That lines up around 325. We also have 350 psychological, so that'll be the next level to be watching. 350, then 325. And personally, I'm going to be looking to add SPXS. We didn't really dip below. I said I'll add it if we drop below 359. Today, we didn't drop below 359, so I didn't add SPXS back. this could just be a bit of a fake out before we see a relief rally as well. We are pretty extended here on the daily time frame. So daily oversold, maybe we need to come back up, form a lower high somewhere around that 380, 385, and then we see another lower low. I'll also add SPXS if we get back to that 380 to 390. So if one of two things happens, I'll add SPXS, which is a short position on the S&P 500. Essentially, it's opposite, so 3x leverage. If SPY goes down 1%, SPXS should go up 3%. And then same vice versa. If SPY goes up 1%, SPXS goes down 3%. But like I said, if SPY gets to 380, 390, I'll start to scale back into SPXS. I'm completely out of it. Or if we lose 359, I'll start to add SPXS back as well and then look to exit around 340, 330 just to hedge those long positions. And the only positions that I have long are altcoins in crypto and MJ positions. Pretty much the only thing I'm long, and some real estate here, the condo market in Edmonton. But yeah, not really applicable to most of the viewers here today. So in terms of retail investors, only thing I'm really long on at the moment are altcoins, because I'm looking for an altcoin season, hoping that we get alt season at some point between now and the end of the year. We get it maybe into November after SPY and crypto bottoms out, after the November 8th elections, after the FOMC rate decision, which I think could be favorable. And then we see a big relief in Bitcoin. And then after Bitcoin tops out, maybe somewhere around the $40,000 to $50,000 area, then it starts its retracement. And then we see altcoins go absolutely ballistic. And then what I'm hoping for, again, I'm planning for all scenarios. And what I think is the most likely scenario is we see Bitcoin run, and then after it starts its retracement, its pullback, then we see alt season go crazy. Then I'm going to look to rotate those profits. I'll probably sell 80 to 90% of my crypto altcoin bag, and then I'll hold 10 to 20% long term, but I'll be looking to rotate those profits into more beaten down MJ. So that's what I'm looking for until I'm not. Again, I'll keep everybody posted on that. The dollar, so I've been saying watch for a potential pullback, and today's the last day of the month. Tomorrow's the last trading day of the month, so we're pretty much, coming on the end here. We've got we got 43 minutes left in the day today. So we're pretty much one last trading day in the month tomorrow before the end of the month. And then what we'll be looking for is the low of this month. So 107.68. I doubt we're going to lose that tomorrow unless something crazy happens. I've seen crazier things, but essentially we would need to pull back on the dollar tomorrow about 4% to start monthly consolidation. So I doubt that's going to be the case. What's more than likely going to happen is we're going to start the month off next week. So since Saturday's a weekend, we'll be looking for Monday on the 3rd to start a new month, and then we'll probably see a monthly inside bar, and then resistance will be 114.77, the high of last month. Support will be 107.68, the low of last month, and that will be the key support. If we lose 107.68, we'll start monthly consolidation really for the first time in 9 months. We had a little brief consolidation here in the month of August, but we only lost it by about 11 cents. So I'm just gonna ignore that. But if we do lose 107.68 this time, it's gonna be the first time in about almost a year, so 9 months, and we can expect a pretty big pullback. So what I think could even happen is we see one more final leg down on the S&P 500. We look to target 330s, 320s, the previous all-time high from the C19 dump, and maybe even see a blow off top on DXY, get an inside bar bull break next month in the DXY, and then we target maybe 120, 125 at the highest. I don't even think we get to 125, to be honest. 120 probably. Look at the monthly RSI on DXY. We're at 70. We were over 80. We were pushing almost 81. Anything over 70 is considered heavily overbought, and we're on the monthly time frame. So what I think could happen is we break the high of last month. Doesn't mean we have to, but that's what I'm looking for. Maybe top out somewhere around 120. So another 4 to 5% move from the high of this month, and then we pull back somewhere around that 100 to 110 area and form a monthly high or low on the DXY. And then that would bode well for a nice rally into the end of the year for crypto and stocks, right? So that's what I'm looking for. I'll keep everybody posted. So Tesla, daily consolidation today. Daily downtrend confirmed. We were in a nice, strong daily uptrend with the low, high, higher, low, and higher high. We had another higher low and higher high. Now we have our high, low, lower high, and lower low. So once we lost support here at 270.31, we confirmed the daily downtrend on Tesla, which means zoom out to the weekly and look for weekly consolidation, which is exactly what's happening. Consolidation just means we're losing the low of the previous weekly candle or whatever candle time frame you're on. So now the support level to be watching is 265.74. We hit 265.78, so it's essentially a double bottom right now in the weekly time frame. And we do have earnings coming up as well, tentative for October 19th. So that'll be a volatile event to be looking out for. In terms of the movers and shakers on the day, we have EH, CLOV, and NIO. On the bear list, on the bull list, we have DPRO, IMV, and SIRC. SIRC, I told everybody to be very, very careful on this one. And look what happened. We had that huge move from about 1 cent all the way up to $3. And then recently we had that move here from, what was it, about 15 cents all the way up to 61 cents. And we had no daily high or low or any support on the daily time frame. You can see here for about 14 days, trading days and 20 days in a row, we had no daily consolidation. I said to be extremely careful. And sure enough, went to 61 cents. Here we are down at 20 cents. I wouldn't be surprised, I said, if we went to 30 cents and below. And not sure what happened here with this crazy wick, but that's something I didn't notice. Went all the way back down to 1 cent. Crazy. But yeah, pulled back of about 16 cents there on SIRC. So volatile name, but that's why we need to be cautious when we don't have that support established on the way up, and then we confirmed the daily downtrend with the lower high and lower low, and didn't look back from there. In terms of Canadian MJ, it's a daily inside bar on HMMJ, so just a tightening range, not much to be seen, not much to update here. VLNS, NXTTF, and CGC leading the decline today. On the bull list, we only have XDRX and NOVC. Tilray, yep, losing $3. We hit a low of 265, and the next support is all-time low at 243 USD. And again, what have I been saying for a while now in MJ, that the common theme is we're hitting new all-time lows or testing all-time lows. And right now, Tilray, from the low there of last week, is only about 8% away from its all-time low. So if the common theme is most MJ, even US and Canadian, is going to its all-time low tests, some even hitting, mostly Canadian MJ hitting new all-time lows, could Tilray potentially test its all-time low and set even a new all-time low? It's possible, right? Again, most people don't think it's plausible. Most people don't think it's going to get there. But again, one thing you need to learn in the financial markets is the only guarantee is there's no guarantees, and you need to expect the unexpected. Prepare for the worst, expect the best, prepare for the worst, right? And anything is possible. Never say never, but just change your mindset, right? These are absolutely absurd low levels that we may never see again in MJ, right? And just switch your mindset. This is an opportunity, right? This is an accumulation phase. And you have, just look at it from a glass half full. You have more time to accumulate these absurdly low prices. And again, MJ isn't going anywhere, right? If you don't have any cash, if you didn't hold cash on the side, if you didn't short the S&P 500 as a hedge, like I've been calling for, like I've been recommending, again, not telling you to buy, sell, or hold, this is for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. But what can you do differently next time? Can you save some cash? Can you hedge with an S&P 500 short position? Because the only thing that was really going to bring MJ down further was a weakness in the S&P 500. And as we know, we had a ton of weakness in the S&P 500 over the last several months, right? So from the beginning of the year in January down about 25%, right? So that is massive, massive downside, and something that we need to hedge against, right? Again, if we get 10 years worth of gains in 2 years, you need to expect 25, maybe even 30% of downside in a relatively short period of time. So again, if you don't have any cash, dry powder to buy the dips, what can you do differently next time? Can you save more cash? Can you dollar cost average better? Can you hedge with a short position on the S&P 500? Can you hedge in another way? Can you pick up another job in the evenings or on the weekends, a second job or a third job? Or what can you do? Can you get creative? Can you start a side hustle? Can you, there's so many different ways that you can start to accumulate cash to be able to maximize on this opportunity. In terms of USMJ, MSOS breaking the low of yesterday, so starting daily consolidation. The new all-time low is 880. We hit 882 today, so almost a double bottom. I'll be adding this one if we get close to $8. And like I said, I did add TrueLeave the other day on Monday. I added it, I believe it was Monday or Tuesday, and that's the first time I've ever bought this stock. And again, I was telling everybody that, we had no monthly consolidation. So if you look at the low here on TrueLeave at $8.10 in the low of March 2020, we went from $8.10 to $67.45. We had no monthly consolidation. What's consolidation mean? Just means that the next monthly candle is breaking the low of the previous one. So we had no loss of that previous monthly candle for a whole year, right? For a whole year, 365 days, we did not have any monthly consolidation. Right? So we need to expect when we do start monthly consolidation, right here, we started monthly consolidation on April 2021. So last year, right? And then from there, it's just been a brutal pullback. And everybody said, see, I told you US MSOs are better than Canadian LPs, right? And that couldn't be further from the truth. Everything moves together, right? Everything moves in tandem. And the whole sector, it doesn't matter about fundamentals. It doesn't matter if you're profitable, unprofitable. The whole sector is nascent. It's an emerging market. It's burgeoning, and everything will track each other, not down to the second, the day, the minute, but overall, in the longer term macro timeframes, we're looking at the similar thing. And the similar thing is we're going to test all-time lows and potentially set new all-time lows. If we look at TrueLeave, we came about less than 30% now from its all-time low. So just expect we could potentially, I just bought this stock. If you buy a stock or a crypto, you need to assume that you're not going to see the lowest price ever. You need to be okay with the stock or the crypto going below the price that you bought it at, because there's chances are less than 1% of people are going to buy the absolute bottom, right? So the fact that I bought TrueLeave for the first time ever, and I'm grateful for the patience that I learned in crypto and Canadian MJ, because I didn't FOMO on this way up, right? I was like, okay, I missed the move, obviously not going to FOMO, but we haven't consolidated in 12 months. So once we do, expect a pretty big pullback, and here we are pretty much giving the whole move back. What gave us the clue? MSOS, low to the high, gave the whole move back and then some, right? So is TrueLeave going to go from the high to the low, give it all back and then some? Potentially. It's almost pretty much there, right? So again, I fought the FOMO, and then I didn't average in too quickly, and I learned the patience that I learned from crypto and Canadian MJ. And then I just fought the urge to get in too quickly. And here I am starting my first entry. And part of my plan is that we could see another 20, 30, maybe even 50% of downside from here. All right? That's part of my scale in plan. So I added a little bit around $12. I'll add again around $10, add again around $8, add again around $6 if we get there, right? Not saying we will, but we could, right? So as long as you have a plan, that's the main thing, right? So again, just learning how to be patient, and not only just focusing on MJ. I have altcoins. I still own more altcoins dollar-wise than I do MJ. I bought 2 condos in the last year in Edmonton. I started an Airbnb. I'm looking at potentially starting a second Airbnb and buying another third condo in less than a year, right? So what can you do to focus? If you're only looking at MJ, long MJ, it's very easy to get investor fatigue and just want to quit, right? Or vice versa. If you're only looking at crypto and altcoins or Bitcoin or Ethereum, well, the last couple of years have been pretty brutal, right? And maybe you FOMO'd in on that run up here on Tilray or TrueLeave. Maybe you FOMO'd in on the run up in SPY, and now you're underwater. Maybe you FOMO'd in here on this run up to 70,000 on Bitcoin, right? So again, learning how to deal with emotions, logic, data, and reason will always trump emotion, right? And if everybody was telling you, oh, TrueLeave's going to the moon, it's probably a bad time to buy. But now that everybody hates TrueLeave and says this sector's a scam, we'll never get our money back, that's probably the time to start buying, right? So that contrarian view. In terms of the movers and shakers on the U.S. side, we have TAUG, CNVCF, and CWEB leading the decline. On the bull list, we have LOWL, BEV, and TAT. All right, jumping into the chat here. Dude, we miss you on YouTube. Glad to have you back. Glad you were back. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Glad to be back. I had a great vacation, definitely needed, and saw my family. I hadn't seen my uncle and aunt in over 10 years, so that was great to see them, spend some time with them. Pretty much spent all 90% of my time with family. I did visit a few friends, but I was down and out. The first day I got there, I got the flu when I got to PEI on the East Coast, so I was down, bedridden for about 3 days, but made the most out of it when I could, and happy to be back. Never believed Tilray would go below $3. Yep. And again, that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Always expect the unexpected. Never say never. And it can always go lower than we think, right? It's one thing I learned in the financial markets. Hey, Rod, not a ticker request, just a question. What is your plan if Hexo does do a 14-to-1 reverse split? Nothing. Do nothing. It's the easiest plan in the world. Just do nothing. Just sit on it. Last time we did a reverse split, stock went from $2 to $11, right? And SNDL did a reverse split, 10-for-1 reverse split. But the thing is, SNDL did a reverse split in the middle of a bear market. Hexo, the last time it did a reverse split, was in the midst of a new bull market starting. So right now, Hexo, as we're looking for a potential bottom in the MJ market, leading into the fall here, potentially even get safe banking or even uplisting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ for US MJ. That would create a huge sector-wide catalyst. So again, if Hexo has until January 25th to become compliant, that's pretty much lining up well with a nice market bottom for MJ. So again, Hexo could potentially do a reverse split. Again, if they do, not saying they will, but if they do, there's a pretty good chance, I would say 80 to 90% chance the market will be bottoming and entering a new bull phase. And the last time that happened, Hexo went from $2 to $11. So I think we need to step back and you know, lose that mentality that all reverse splits are bad, right? Reverse splits are very common in MJ and in shroom stocks. And that is because it's still federally illegal in a lot of countries, right? So it's very hard for them to you know, to continue to gain this momentum because there's so much growth yet to happen. And eventually reverse splits will probably be a thing of the past once they become profitable and things like that. And once we start to see more growth and adoption. But yeah, my plan is the most easiest plan in the world, and it's do absolutely nothing. And I'll buy more. I have a buy order on Hexo for 15 cents USD if we get there. I'll add again at 10 cents if we get there, but pretty much my bags are packed. I don't need to add any more Hexo, but I will because that'll be an offer I can't refuse. But personally, I think that they'll regain compliance. If they don't, they already have approval to do up to a 14-to-1 reverse split. Just because they have approval to do up to a 14-to-1 doesn't mean they will either. They might only do a 10-to-1 like SNDL did, right? Doesn't mean that they're absolutely going to do 14-to-1. But yeah, I'm not too worried about it at all. A lot of people were calling for bankruptcy. The stock was going to zero. We'd have no money. We'd all lose our money. Well, now that that's gone, people are focusing on something else to complain about, right? The Tyson partnership was something nobody saw coming, but still people found a way to complain about that, right? So just take the good with the bad. We're partnered with Tilray. We have Germany coming online, New York. Tilray has a 20% market share in Germany already, meeting with the German government. And Hexo and Tilray are going to be combating taking on that market together. They're going to be working through a partnership. Hexo's debt is now solved, and every sale is now profitable. We could see a huge improvement in their next couple of quarter earnings reports because of the SG&A and COGS, because of the layoffs and the facility closures, that type of thing. So we're going to start to really see an accurate picture, I think, of Hexo over the next couple of quarters. And also, Charlie Bowman, the CEO of Hexo, said in a recent interview with MJ Biz Daily that they had a really good quarter. So again, I think that everything's just fine. I've also been wondering about a potential reverse split, but I think there are still two ERs before the compliance date. Yep, exactly. We have the end of October, and then again in, let's just bring it up here. If you're ever wondering, you can just go here to Hexo and scroll down FAQ. So year-end quarter ends. So Q3, so it's usually financial statements due by October 29th and then December 15th. So yeah, we'll get one here before the end of October, and then we'll get one before the end of the year around December. And then if you ever want to check it out for analyst estimates, just go to investing.com, type in Hexo. You want to click on the Canadian one if, I guess it doesn't really matter, but generally they report in Canadian dollars, so I usually look at the Canadian one. And then you just go to financials, scroll down here to earnings, and then you'll bring up the analyst forecast. Now, keep in mind that if it's a name that's, you know, a tier 2, tier 3, it might not have that many analysts covering it, so there might not be any analyst forecasts and estimates. But right now, they're forecasting a pretty big drop from last quarter at 44.3 million, but that won't take much to beat either and see a surprise beat there in terms of revenue. In terms of EPS, they're forecasting negative 0.0467, which is an increase from the prior quarter. And something to be aware of as well is Charlie Bowman says they've already taken the impairments, right? So we could potentially see an end to this atrocious EPS that we've been seeing over the last couple of quarters. But October 28th is the tentative date. Tilray will report on October 7th, so that is 2 weeks from tomorrow. Or sorry, a week from tomorrow. Wow, time flies. So yeah, Tilray, look for that. Again, I'm not too concerned about each individual MJ name, individual report, because it's not going to matter. If it does bump, if it does go up 10, 20% on some good news and a surprise beat, let's say Hexo or Tilray beats by 5 or 10 million on the revenue forecast, or we have a huge EPS beat, it's probably not going to sustain itself, right? It's probably going to be short-lived. We'll pump and then it'll dump and it'll just get absorbed back because the whole sector needs to reverse, right? So that's why I'm not focusing maybe on the next quarter, so maybe on December. Maybe if we start to see a reversal in the whole sector, and then next quarter, maybe I'll be more focused on individual earnings reports then. But as for right now, until we see the sector reverse in US, I'm not adding too much weight behind each individual earnings report. But I'll be covering it for sure, obviously. But I'm not going to be waiting for the like we normally did, like back in February 2021. We were running up to all-time highs there on a lot of our names and seeing massive moves and 52-week highs. We're covering it a little bit more extensively. But again, the whole sector's bearish, not just Canadian and producers, American producers, not just producers either, retailers and even REITs and stuff like that, like IIPR, right? So hopefully that helps. Just gonna grab a drink of water here. Maybe just enough time to get us over $1. Yep, I agree. Bagged another 1,000 hexo today. Very nice. Yeah, like I said, I'll add if we get to 15 cents USD. But okay if we don't get there. I'm okay. I got my bags packed. But like I said, that's an offer I can't refuse. And if we do get to 10 cents, I'll add again there. It's just me, or did volumes in MJ just drop off? We can take a quick peek here. We'll use Tilray as the main gauge. Monthly volume, we're pretty much on the end of the month here, not meeting yet, so you'd be correct. We were increasing in volume the last couple of months, but here we are breaking to a monthly lower low, continuing the monthly downtrend, and yet we're likely not going to match the volume of last month. So yeah, you're correct in saying that for sure. Even TrueLeaf, same thing, increasing bull volume the last couple of months, but a drop off, not even matching the month of July here. But if we take a look at TrueLeaf, Tilray. Tilray had its biggest monthly volume here in February 2021. And that was actually, I think the highest daily volume was back in March, right? Yeah, this one here. So we had March 25th, 2022. That was the highest daily volume ever. There was like $2.4 billion traded or something like that day. So that wasn't too far ago, right? So that wasn't too long ago. Just been working on getting my hexo average down, but slightly concerned that what just happened to MNMD might happen to hexo, even though hexo has products and MNMD does not. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's a big difference. Plus, psilocybin and whatnot is still very much in its early infancy phases. It's like comparing MJ to like 5 years ago or something like that, right? Like it's definitely behind, and they're tracking each other. But again, the difference is with MNMD is we're in a bear market. So if we bring up the MNMD chart, MNMD did a reverse split here for 1 for 15. That could be very similar to hexo, like you said. But the difference is MNMD wasn't at an all-time low, and it's in the middle of a bear market. When hexo's due to get its compliance date on January 25th, there's a good chance that the MJ market could bottom out and that we could start to enter a new bull market. So the difference is, again, like I said, with MNMD is we're in the midst of a bear market. S&P 500 is dropping like crazy. Crypto, everything's dropping. Right? Real estate, all assets. We're starting to see the dollar, obviously, a safe haven, and really creating the turbulence in the market because everybody's flocking to the world reserve currency. And then, like I said, with SNDL just did a 1 for 10, and again, right in the midst of a bear market. But the great thing about hexo's timing is it's not due until January 25th, and there's a good chance that we could see the market bottom out, and then it would be doing a reverse split in the midst of a new potential bull market starting, which would be great to see, right? But if we take a look from here, they have until January 25th, so you're looking at about 124 days. So about 4 months, 124 days, that's still a long time. Look at how quickly here we went from $2 to $11 in 123 days, right? So anything can happen. $2.32 to $11.04 in 123 days. From here to the time we need to regain compliance on January 25th, you're looking at 124 days. So in that same time period, doesn't mean it's going to happen again, but it happened where we went from $2 to $11 in that same time period. Surely we can go from 17 cents to $1, right? But yeah, that's pretty much all you can do right now. Just work on getting your average down. Also, I'm done focusing on hexo. I've got a buy order in at 15 cents USD. Will it get there? I don't know. If it doesn't, I'm okay. I got over 50,000 hexo shares. I'm okay if it doesn't. My bags are packed. But right now, I'm focusing on getting my average down on some other names. I just bought TrueLeaf for the first time. I bought CureLeaf. I added to my CureLeaf bag. I bought GTII, Cresco. I've been adding MSOS. So right now, I'm focusing on adding USMJ and other LPs like Tilray, OGI, High Tide, some retailers in there as well. So I'm done focusing on a hexo. I've got my limit buy order for 15 cents. If it doesn't hit, great. If it does, great. But I'm focusing on diversifying and buying more US MJ and some other LPs as well. I'm also averaging in on my crypto altcoin positions. So yeah, I'm done focusing on Hexo right now. My bags are packed, but like I said, I have a plan for both. Whether we go up, down, or sideways, I have plans for all. John, I don't think they'll finance, but I could be wrong. Depends on how they manage revenues. Yep. Yesterday was confusing for me regarding Hexo, and all other MJ were going up by 5, 6, 7%, and Hexo stayed flat. Yep. Well, again, it doesn't move down. MJ stocks don't move down to the second, the day, the minute, the week. It's the overall trend, right? So, for example, Bitcoin had a pretty big bounce there over the last couple of weeks, and then XRP was a laggard and then saw, like 70% gains in a week, right? So again, if you look at the charts, they don't look identical down to the second, the minute, the day, but if you zoom out on the weekly and the monthly time frames, they all look pretty similar, right? So I think we need to take I think especially when we're in a prolonged bear market of a multi-year bear market, I think you probably shouldn't even look at the daily chart, right? You should be looking at the weekly and the monthly, right? And like I said, when we confirmed weekly uptrend on Hexo and on Tilray, I said that means nothing. We've done this before and then we just dropped to lower lows. What we need to see is monthly trend changes where we come up and we break to a high, a higher low, and a higher high. So what happened here? We had the low high breaking into a lower low, monthly downtrend confirmed, lower high and lower low, still in a monthly downtrend. So again, bulls proved absolutely nothing until we confirm a high, a higher low, and a higher high. We're still in a bear market. So realistically, I wouldn't even look at the daily time frame if you're looking at MJ. Right now, it's just an accumulation and a waiting game and a patience game. So I'd just be looking at the monthly time frame. And once we confirm a monthly uptrend, then we can be confident that the bear market is over and that a new potential multi-year bull market is starting. But the reason why MJ was down yesterday, or the reason why we were down in MJ the last week or so is because of the weakness in the S&P 500. But yeah, if we take a look at Hexo was up quite a bit the other day, a couple days ago, right? We were up like 15%. So we went from 16.5 cents to 18.7 cents. So that was on September 26th. Now let's take a look at Tilray. So September 26th on Tilray to the high was only up 13%. So Hexo from the low to the high was up almost 15%. So again, you can find any time frame you want and make it look better or worse, right? But the overall trend is that we're up about 14, 13% from those lows, right? So to me, it's pretty much identical, right? Seems like Hexo is pinned in a range. Yep. And we're not breaking to, when we break to lower lows, we're not seeing much of a follow through. One thing we could see is a potential daily trend change from here. So we have the low, high, now we have a higher low, now we're looking for a higher high. So once we break, if we do break 18.7 cents from here, we'll be back in a daily uptrend. But right now, anything under this resistance here at 21.8 cents is just a daily lower high in a daily downtrend. So we do have bulls. I have the opportunity now to confirm a daily uptrend. But again, SPY is looking weak. We could see another lower low on SPY. It is bouncing here, trying to hold that support, like I said, at 360. We did see a little bit of a break, but not much follow through. And that's why I said I'll add SPXS if we lose 359. But we didn't. We got to 359.70. And here we are back over 360 again. So if we do confirm this daily uptrend on Hexo, then we zoom out to the weekly time frame. Then we watch for the weekly bounce to get underway, then a higher low, then a higher high. But guess what? We've done that before, and it didn't really change anything over the last couple of years. What haven't we done in a couple of years? We haven't confirmed a monthly uptrend. So once we confirm the daily and the weekly, then we need the monthly one to change as well with a higher low and higher high. So we still got many months to go before we can be confident that a bottom is in, that we're starting a new potential multi-year bull market, right? So this is what I said for the last few months. Don't get too excited. We had that move up, here on the weekly time frame. CGC shot up like 100% from the lows, right? Went from the low to the high, we up 100%. Went from $2.13 all the way up to $4.30. So again, we didn't change the weekly time frame though. We didn't even change the monthly, right? So we didn't even get to the monthly, right? So we were just looking for a weekly trend change and we still haven't gotten it yet. But we're still just looking for a weekly higher low and higher high. We could get there, but again, not to say that there's no opportunity. There was 100% opportunity there to be had. But again, not concerned about the weekly time frame at all. Concerned about the monthly. And now in the monthly, we could potentially see a monthly trend change here. we have a little bit of room to form a higher low and higher high on CGC. And what do we know about CGC and Tilray? They're one of the leaders in the space, right? Because it's listed on a NASDAQ and the US major exchange where financial institution and smart money can flow in, right? So we'll be using that as a benchmark, and that will be the main ones to be watching is CGC and Tilray, and also MSOS. If we do hit a MJ bull market with legit catalysts, many think these stocks could go back to all-time highs and beyond. How fast can that actually happen? This could be my first experience. Yeah, so I do think that the next time, based on how beaten down we've been since Canadian legalization, I do think that the next bull market, the next time we confirm a monthly uptrend, we're likely going to be heading to all-time highs and new price discovery on a lot of names. Unlike February 2021, where CGC didn't set a new all-time high, Afria was really the only one that did it. Tilray didn't do it either, right? We had $300 as the all-time high from the IPO, but we only got as high as $67. So Afria was really one of the only ones. I think maybe High Tide did as well, and then some like Trulieve, some of the US MSOs, but not the whole sector. The next time, even Hexo didn't even come close to its all-time high. We had $11, and the all-time high is $33. So what I think is the next time we enter a multi-year bull market and confirm a monthly uptrend, yeah, I think we're going to see new all-time highs, and not just in 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 names or a couple names in the Canadian space or a couple names in the US space. I think pretty much you're going to be able to throw a dart, and it's just going to be pretty much all names. And something to be watching for as well will be HMMJ. So HMMJ, the ETF, didn't hit all-time highs. So just something similar or something simple to be watching out for the next bull market. I think HMMJ will likely hit new all-time highs, and that will mean that the majority of MJ is hitting new all-time highs. Now, how long would that take? That is a good question, right? Like I said, Hexo, for example, went from $2 to $11 in 124 days. So if that is 400% in 124 days, and we were only about 200% from the all-time high, maybe cut that in half, right? So maybe 160 days, 140 days, maybe 180 days, right? So 180 days from here would bring us to about March 2023. Now, is that going to happen? Probably not. I would think that we're probably going to ebb and flow. I would say that we're probably going to come up. We're probably not going to see that big of a bounce on the monthly, but come back down, form a monthly higher low, then a higher high, and then a higher low, maybe come back down, and then see something like that, right? Nothing goes straight in a straight line forever, right? We could even see a type of Elliott wave structure, right? So we would do, we take the Elliott wave theory. You can just go here. So something similar. We just do a quick, you get the 1, you got the 2, you got the 3, 4, and then final impulse wave, right? And then we had a pretty big pullback from there. So you could see something similar. And I think I might even have it drawn out on CGC. Actually, no, I think I deleted it. But yeah, CGC, another example, right? So we'll just grab our Elliott wave. So we had yeah, you could probably draw it out. I'd probably draw it like this, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and then one final blow off top, right? So if we look at something similar, could be something similar like that. Just use Hexo actually because it's a little bit more clean. But if we go from the low, what's going on here? Go from the, what is happening? Glitching on me here. There we go. So you could see something like this, where we come down, we see a third wave. Usually the third wave is the most impulsive. Could be something like that, right? We might not get to a new all-time high right away. We could see an ABC correction after that. Or maybe we see, if we get U.S. legalization, we went from $2 to like $11 in 124 days on hopes of U.S. legalization. What's going to happen, and just the Democrats taking control of the Senate, what's going to happen when they actually announce legalization and Germany comes online, New York, right? So maybe we see something like this, where we come up, form a bit of an impulse wave, right? The third wave is usually the strongest, and then we come up and we create a blow off top, right? Something like that, where we ebb and flow. But yeah, it could be a year. It could be a year before that happens. I would say realistically, probably a year at least. 6 months to a year, but I'd be leaning on a year. And again, it's all going to be dependent on, like Canadian, also the Canadian MJ Act is being reviewed right now by the federal government. So that's a positive catalyst. We could see Germany come online. We could see other countries around the world as well, G20 countries. We could see, well, obviously New York in the first half of 2023 is coming online. We could see safe banking uplisting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ. Then we could see descheduling. Then we could see full-blown legalization. So there's tons of catalysts. Then we can see big companies getting involved. We know Jones Soda is trialing Mary Jones Soda. We know that Pepsi trialed Rockstar Hemp in Germany right before Germany's set to legalize. You're wondering if the whole world's a stage. Well, it must be. How did they know that? And if Pepsi gets involved, Jones Soda's involved. Pepsi's already starting to trial hemp Rockstar and CBD in Germany, and Molson Coors is already involved. Molson Coors is partnered with Coca-Cola on Topo Chico Hard Seltzers and the Simply Spiked Lemonade. Might Molson Coors and Truss form a partnership with Coca-Cola, right? If Jones Soda and Pepsi are already in the space trialing, and Jones Soda is like already dipping its toes in, it's fully in, and already has a portfolio called Mary Jones Soda, well, good chance that Pepsi could be in fully, and then if Pepsi gets in full, Coke will come, and then then we'll see a ton of other dominoes fall where big CPG, maybe Kellogg's, Mondelez, we see other big conglomerates get into the space as well, right? So there's so much growth to be had. I'm not worried in the least. And again, I own more than just Hexo. I own more than just Tilray. I've got about 14 or 15 different MJ positions now. Some MJ positions are ETFs, and some are retailers as well, right? We also just saw that CGC Canopy is going to be closing its retail division. So it's going to be getting rid of its Tokyo Smoke stores. Remember what Hexo said and SSL said. Sebastian St. Louis, the ex-CEO and co-founder, he said that he believed that any producers, so any Canadian LPs that went the retail route, he said that that was the wrong way to go. And then CGC decided to do both, and here they are getting out of it. And CGC and Aurora and all those other majors, they wanted to be the big and the best. And they wanted to be the biggest, the fastest. And that was true. That was proved later on to not be the right way to go either. Hexo didn't do that. They didn't over plan their capacity. They did a little bit, but not to that degree where, Aurora is closing its Aurora flagship facility, Aurora Sky, right? Whereas Hexo's Masson facility, which is its flagship, has still yet to be closed, right? They closed Belleville, but that wasn't their flagship. And also Truss is still there. And the reason why they closed that is because they moved the assets from Belleville to Redecan's Ontario facility, and Truss is still staying in the Belleville's facility, and they're getting their own operational license, which they'll operationalize their license at some point in 2023, right? So that's all why Hexo got out of Belleville. But again, Hexo straight up said that they believe that retail was the wrong way to go, unless you're Fire and Flower, unless you're High Tide, where the only thing you do is retail, right? And then they invested in Spirit Leaf, which is now owned by SNDL, and they invested in Fire and Flower, right? They have long-term investments. Hexo on their balance sheet has long-term investments in Fire and Flower and Spirit Leaf, which is now indirectly SNDL. And that's because they knew that they would not be in the retail space. They said that was the wrong way to go, but they're hedging and they're capitalizing on that space with a long-term investment. And just more proof to that CGC is now getting out of its retail space. It was just weird, right? When I was traveling across Canada, I stopped at a Tokyo Smoke and I said, hey, what products do you recommend? And they were recommending me Hexo products. And the guy working said, Hexo's my favorite LP. And you're in a CGC, you're in a Canopy Growth Tokyo Smoke owned store, right? It was just weird. It was bizarre to me. And yeah, I didn't think that was going to last very long. And here we are, CGC closing. Also, Value Buds boycotted CGC's products a long time ago here in Edmonton and Alberta because they were opening stores right next to Value Buds, and they got pissed off, right? So they boycotted all their products. They took all the products off the shelf and they started selling them at a 50% discount to employees. So that was a clue, right? And here we are, CGC down 8%, while Hexo's only down 5%, right? I keep adding, taking advantage of these prices. I as well am in this for the long haul. When I'm an old man, I'm going to be so glad I did this. Yeah, exactly. As long as you have a realistic outlook, a reasonable time frame, and you're not thinking you're going to get rich quick tomorrow, get into that instant gratification mentality, right? This is a long-term play, and it's just as important as to know when to sell as when to buy, right? So I know a lot of people, they're saying, the next time Hexo runs to $1 or 50 cents, get the hell out and run, or same thing with CGC. Next time CGC has a good pump, get out, right? But that's probably going to be like the biggest mistake ever because, like I said, if we do start a new bull market, there's a good chance that we go to all-time highs and then maybe even set new price discovery. Maybe we even exceed all-time highs by a good margin. And then, people are going to be selling CGC at $5, which is fine, right? There's nothing wrong with taking profits. Maybe you're going to even look to reload cheaper. But personally, I've got my take profits and target set. I won't be selling a single Hexo share until about $2.50, right? And then $5, and then $7.50, and then $10, right? I'll have a scaled out plan, but I'll just be looking to take profit and then likely reload cheaper. But I also have Hexo and other MJ in a long-term no touch where I'm not selling it until US MJ legalizes. So Hexo could go to $50 without US legalizing. I'm not selling it in my long-term account. It's also a lot less capital, right? So just have your plan set. If you don't have a plan, you're going to be more than likely subject to emotion, right? And making irrational decisions or emotional decisions. So have your target set. Right? If you just dollar cost averaged Hexo around 18 cents or 17 cents, maybe you want to take a take profit around $1, right? If you entered some around 40 cents, maybe you want to take a profit around $2.50 on that entry. If you entered around $1, maybe you want to wait till $5 or $10 for that entry, right? Or maybe you only invested like $1,000 in a Hexo and you just want to wait. You know, I could care less if I lose $1,000, and I could care less if it goes to 2,000. I'm not going to take any profit out at 2,000 because that's not life changing. But if you invested $1,000 here at 17 cents, if we go to all time highs, that's 20,330. So that's a 200x. So if you put $1,000 into Hexo right now at 17 cents, if we go back to all time highs, that means you'd have about $203,000, right? So how many $1,000 would you need to invest to have life changing gains, right? $5,000 invested right now, if we go back to all-time highs, that's $1 million. And the most you could lose is 5,000, right? So that is what investing is all about. You have the most that you can lose, and you have the sky's the limit. What if we go double all-time highs? What if we go to $100? What if CGC goes to $200, right? We were just at 67 or 56, 67 on TrueLeave, right? 67 on Tilray. What if Tilray goes back to 300 from here? Right, that would be 103x, right? So that's over 100x. This is where generational wealth is made. You can get rich in a bull market, but this is where you get wealthy, is in a bear market where you're buying the lows, right? The all-time lows or new all-time lows, especially leading into the biggest event of our lifetimes that'll only ever happen once, which is U.S. legalization and legalization around the world, right? So just be grateful that we're here, we're alive, we're experiencing this. With crypto, we're seeing the whole new financial system rebuilt before our eyes. Crypto is the biggest development in the financial history since gold coins were invented, right? The advent of gold coins. So if we haven't changed the financial system really since then to this degree, that is a once in a lifetime opportunity, right? It's compared to oil, the discovery of oil, right? Which makes the world go around. And that is now being compared to Bitcoin and crypto is being compared to the digital gold, right? So if it's digital gold, right? Crypto is digital gold. Like there's a lot of opportunity there. Be grateful that you're even here, right? Be grateful that you're even able to invest and you're of age, and be grateful that you can invest in MJ, right? It's only ever going to happen once. This adoption curve that we're in, right? Just picture it like the internet. If you missed the boom of the internet, the Apples and the Microsofts and all that, the Amazons, now's your chance to potentially capitalize. Not saying, Tilray's going to go to Amazon's price. I'm talking about percentage gains. I'm talking 100x, 200x, maybe even 500x returns, which would be life-changing wealth, right? 50,000 shares, nice. Thank you. I know a lot of people with a lot more shares than that in Hexo, but again, you don't need a ton of shares in a particular MJ company or crypto to make life-changing gains, right? If you put $1,000 into Cardano, the cryptocurrency, in March 2020, about a year and a half later, it would have been worth like $150,000, right? So just a few $1,000 investment in March 2020, a couple years later, you've been almost a millionaire. So you don't need to invest $10,000 or $100,000 of your money, especially in such a risky asset class. Like I would never invest $100,000 into one MJ stock because you don't need to, right? Unless your net worth is like 5 million and you got so much money you don't know what to do with it. But if your net worth is like a couple $100,000 like me, or $500,000, I was close to $500,000 there at one point about 6 months ago. Well, you're probably not going to put a quarter of your net worth into one MJ stock, right? That'd just be silly in my opinion. So 50,000 shares. I also own about 13 or 14 other MJ stocks. I also own about 13 to 14 different altcoins, and I have more dollars invested into crypto than I do MJ. I also have a ton of cash. I have a 6-figure cash position that I'm sitting on. I'm also hedging the S&P 500. I also have mutual funds, and I also have real estate, right? So again, I'm very diversified, and you don't need any more than, like for example, XRP, my favorite cryptocurrency. You don't really need any more than 10,000 XRP to be completely life-changing wealth, right? And then same with, say, Hexo or Tilray. You probably don't need any more than 10,000 Tilray shares. You probably don't need any more than a few tens of thousands of Hexo shares, right? But getting, $100,000 or $200,000 into one MJ stock, I just think that's not the greatest way to go about it. Could it play out, be the most luckiest, not luckiest, but could you end up being like a genius and having multi-millions of dollars? Yes, you could, but I would rather invest, maybe 20,000 or 30,000 at the most into one MJ stock, and then put another 5, 10,000 into another one. Maybe buy some retailers, some ETFs, things like that to diversify. Also buy some crypto, some real estate, things like that, right? Keep some cash. Like I said, 6-figure cash position at the moment. I also have mutual funds. Hey Rod, I'm late, but from Muskoka, Ontario. Welcome. Open position in high tide yesterday. Very nice. Yeah. So again, when you buy something, just come to terms with it could go lower, right? And like I've been saying on high tide, we could see this weekly bear flag play out and target $1 USD. So just come to terms with the fact that just because you bought something doesn't mean that you're going to buy the absolute low. There's probably a 99% chance that it's going to go below the price that you bought it at. So just by targeting that weekly bear flag, we could drop another 27%. We might even drop to 80 cents, right? So that means we could drop another 35%, 40%. So again, as long as you have realistic expectations, a realistic timeline, right, and investment horizon, who cares if it goes down another 25, 50%, right? You can just dollar cost average. You can make that part of your dollar cost average and scaling in plan and your buying plan. And even if you invest $1,000, right, at current levels, and it goes down to $1, that means your $1,000 is only worth about $700 now. Who cares? The most you can lose is $1,000. But if you invest $1,000 here now and it goes to all-time highs, that's about an 8.5x. That's $8,500 on a $1,000 investment. What if it goes to new all-time highs or doubles the all-time high, right? That's when you start to getting into life-changing wealth, right? Buying in a bull market can get you rich. Buying in a bear market near the bottom of a bear market can get you wealthy. And again, it doesn't matter if we're buying the absolute bottom, because about 1% or less of people will actually do that, but as long as you're buying near the bottom, right? But yeah, not a bad entry point. Like I said, start scaling in. Maybe you buy a little bit around 140, you buy a little around 120, buy a little around $1. Maybe you do a fourth position if we sub $1, right? USD. But great company, great entry, great pick in my opinion for the long term. Oxley. So again, Oxley just following the rest of the sector. We didn't lose the low of last week. So 4 cents, we double bottomed. There's really not much to see here at all. Like we're still in a weekly, monthly, daily downtrend. We're just looking at the rest of the sector. There's really nothing no positive signs or signals or patterns to be looking out for here at all. We're breaking to a monthly lower low. We don't have any resistance though on the monthly until 35.5 cents. So if we do start the monthly bounce and we form a bottom here soon, Oxley's another one of those names where that's 700% just of the first monthly resistance, right? So if you invested $1,000 here and this thing went to zero, who cares? You lose $1,000. But if you invest $1,000 here and we just go to the monthly resistance, that's $1,000 into $7,000, right? So again, your upside is pretty much limitless, and your downside is, what your downside is, right? If you I probably wouldn't invest any more than $2,500 or $5,000 into this name, if I was being completely honest, because you don't need to invest a crap ton of money, right? Even if you put $1,000 into this thing, we went to all-time highs, that'd be 67x. That'd be $1,000 into $67,000. How many of those do you need to make your life changing, right? To change your life, right? So you don't need to put in $50,000 or $100,000 into a name like this. That's why I say buying in a bull market, you can get rich and make money, but buying in a bear market near the bottom and all-time lows and new all-time lows, that's where you can create generational wealth. And having just more than Oxley, buying maybe Oxley, some tier 1s, tier 2s, tier 3s, right? Tier 3s and the lower cap, small cap is where you're going to get the majority of the ROI and the return, right? So, and multiplier effect. Not to say you can't make money on the tier 2s and the tier 1s, but like great entry. I like Oxley for the long term. We're monthly oversold. So if you knew nothing about when to buy and when to sell, if you only plop this RSI, the relative strength index, would tell you when we're oversold and overbought. If you only bought when we're oversold and only sold when we're overbought, you do better than 99% of retail trading investors, right? Like look at Hexo, for example, or CGC is probably a better example. You buy here, price is at around $1. You sell here, price was at $14. And you're like, oh crap, it went all the way up to $60. Who cares? Then it went down to $2 again. So even if you just sold here, right? And then you got FOMO and you're like, oh, damn it. But maybe you entered again and you FOMO'd in and then you ended up losing it all, right? They gave up all those gains from this fractal, right? Just because you were FOMOing and trying to chase a few more gains, right? But even if you just went from $1 to $14, you know, that's 14x essentially, right? And then you exit there at monthly oversold, and then once we came back to overbought, and then once we came back to monthly oversold, so you could have entered at around $1, sold around $14. Who cares? It went to 60 because it went back down to 2, and you bought it at 1, sold at 14, rebought at 2. That's the name of the game, right? Or maybe even just do weekly overbought and oversold. That'd be one way to do it as well. So you could have bought it here, sold it here, bought it here, sold it here, bought it here, sold it here, buy it here, look to sell it here, right? But again, you get mainstream media and all these narratives and things like that that are trying to scare you in and out of positions. So they try to get you to believe that everything's going to the moon here and never going to capitulate and never going to go, everything's just going to 100 or $1,000. And then down here they say that everything, the sector's dead, it's never going to recover, right? How many times did they say Bitcoin was dead, right? And then it just goes off and sets new all-time highs, right? So Hexo is being deliberately held in a range. Yeah, we can speculate all we want, but the thing is 80 to 90% of MJ is down 80 to 90% plus. It's just par for the course. The theme right now in MJ is everything's testing all-time lows or setting new all-time lows. So it's not just Hexo, it's the whole MJ sector. I saw someone say, why is Canara such a terrible investment? Why are we down so much? Well, Tilray, from the highs of February 2021, if we just take a look, is down over 96%. If we take a look at a name like Canara from its highs of February 2021, it was like right around here. Yeah, this isn't, hang on a second, I'll bring up the Neo exchange, it's got more data. So yeah, February 2021, we're down only 46%, right? So again, people need to zoom out, not just look at one stock, right? If you're only invested in looking at one stock, of course you don't get the bigger picture. Of course you don't understand. But if you understand that Tilray and 80 to 90% of MJ is down over 90% plus, right? Well, then you'd understand that, oh shit, this actually is holding up pretty good. Maybe I shouldn't complain too much, right? Play the pumps, load up on the consolidations, and set a trailing stop and short the dumps. That's where the money is right now. Yeah, personally, I think time in the market is better than timing the market because, you know, most people are going to sell and then everything's going to shoot up, right? Personally, I think the time to play the pumps was back in February 2021 on like Tilray. So like for example, when we were here, this was the time to play the pumps, right? When we started consolidating, we were weekly overbought, going to weekly oversold. These were the times to play the pumps, in my opinion. Now we're looking for a capitulation low. So now it could just, you know, rocket, right? And you try to get out at $3 or $4, $5, play the pumps. And then it just keeps going, and you're like, God damn, I waited 2 years, 4 years, and now I just missed the move. You're like, and then you're like wanting to pull your hair out, right? So I think when we're at all-time lows and setting new all-time lows, time in the market is better than timing the market. But when we're at 52-week highs and potentially setting new all-time highs, timing the market is better than time in the market, unless you're going short. Time in the market short at a 52-week high would be better than timing the market, than time in the market, right? Or sorry, Time in the market going short at 52 weeks highs would be better than timing the market. And then time in the market going long at 52-week lows would be better than timing the market, in my opinion. But you can do whatever you want. I'm not telling you to buy, sell, or hold. This isn't financial advice, right? So entertainment purposes only, just my thoughts and opinions and perspectives on the market. That's just what I'm doing. It's like, for example, crypto, right? And when Bitcoin was capitulating down here, going from all-time highs at $19,000, $20,000 all the way down to $3,000, imagine if your goal was to play the pumps here, right? Again, if you're going long near a bottom, time in the market's better than timing the market. Whereas here, you could have timed the market if you were looking to go long, or you were looking to just play the pumps and then reload cheaper, right? You could have played that pump and then played this pump and then exited and then played this pump. But if you played this pump, yeah, okay, maybe you came down, you got lucky here, and you're able to re-enter again after we went from about 14,000 down to 3,000 again. But, you know, if you would have just bought at 3,000 here at the low and then time in the market and just wait, you know, you would have seen 18x, right? Versus, you know, making 20% on a rip or 40% on a rip. That's fine too if you want to be more day trading and stuff like that. But personally, I don't like to be a slave to the computer, and I'd rather be off the computer and just buy positions, set and hold, and data shows that the people who just buy and hold do a lot better. And imagine buying Amazon and trying to sell the rips and stuff, right? You'd probably drive yourself crazy. Whereas if you just bought Amazon back here and just waited, right? Like, I think Amazon right now is like MJ, like right here. Again, I'm not saying MJ is going to the price and the valuation. It's probably not going to be worth, Hexo or CGC is probably not going to be worth $2 trillion market cap. But if we just take a look at, oops, I'm just going to delete those. I would compare a Canadian MJ to like this. This is where we are in Canadian MJ, in my opinion, compared to like an Amazon. And then we could see from there another 30x above all-time highs. So if we take a look at, say, a name like CGC, because it has a lot of trading history, what if we go 30x above all-time highs? I'd even extrapolate that out pretty quick, a lot, right? So 30x, yeah, I can't even get there. So 30x from the all-time highs would bring us to like a $2,000 CGC. Is that going to happen? I don't know. It's possible, right? But I doubt it, because it's not really comparing apples to apples. You're comparing apples to oranges. But in terms of percentage gains, I think CGC could easily be worth a few $100s someday, right? So even if we go to a few $100s, and it's way less than Amazon, right? Because Amazon's selling everything, including the kitchen sink. Well, could this thing easily go to a couple $100? Well, yeah, that'd be 85x from current levels, right? $1,000 investment into $80,000. So again, how many thousands of dollars would you need to invest to see life-changing gains, right? I think MJ is going to be I think altcoins are going to be the most life-changing and percentage-wise returns here in the short to medium term. And then I think MJ is going to be the best opportunity in terms of gains and ROI and returns over the next few years. I miss SSL. He convinced me to invest in Hexo. SSL was the best visionary and CEO in the entire space. He understood the consumer, MJ consumer, more than anyone, and every other CEO knew it, right? But again, all the CEOs that were with MJ companies pretty much are starting to get ousted, right? They don't need the visionaries anymore. And now we're going into a different phase, right? We're going into the mega phase. We're going into the blue chip phase, where we need people with CPG experience. We need people that look at when Tim Cook came into Apple, right? Apple just completely exploded, right? They no longer needed like a Steve Jobs, right? They didn't need the visionary. They need something like with the business acumen like Tim Cook, right? And Tim Cook just completely took it to another level. And that's what we need with some of these MJ names, is we need people to take it to the next level. And SSL kind of outdid his time there, and he was the longest lasting standing, right? That says more about the industry than probably it does him. But again, the fact that he was, and even other CEOs on panels and different conferences and like that, they were echoing SSL's comments, and they almost didn't even know what to say, because SSL just completely nailed it, right? And he was always the first one to jump up and speak. And yeah, anybody who thinks that SSL didn't know the industry or wasn't a good entrepreneur, he took $35,000 and made it into a multi-billion-dollar company. I challenge anybody on this call to do that or better. I doubt any of us in our lifetime will ever achieve anything of that greatness, right? So look at it for what it is. Again, I'm a realist. I'm not a hypist. I don't look at things. I look at things at a glass half full, for sure. I try to be more of an optimist than a pessimist, but I'm realist as well. I don't sugarcoat things, but at the end of the day, I tell people what they need to hear, and most people want to be told what they want to hear, especially on YouTube, right? They want to come here for hopium and reassurance and conviction, and they want to be told that their investment or their thesis or their choice is the best one. But I'll just tell you my honest opinion. Position trade weed. Yeah, well, again, everybody can do what they want to do. If you're more of a day trader, swing trader, then you can definitely do that. But again, I think time in the market right now near all-time lows and potentially starting a new multi-year bull market and all MJ trending to all-time highs. I'd rather just time in the market, buy and hold, sit and wait, not stress over it, go out, travel, spend time with friends and family, and watch my investment grow. Data shows that those who just buy and hold do better in the long run, right? Especially when you're near a bottom and a new burgeoning, upcoming, emerging market, right? Plus, we're still not even legal in the U.S., right? In Germany, not even recreational yet. New York, not recreational yet. Still tons of Fortune 500 companies and big conglomerates to enter the space. So there could not be any more of a growth opportunity than MJ, right? So I would say MJ and crypto, the biggest opportunities. So I'm assuming before legalization, all MJ will spike up. Would it be the time to take profits, or better wait until after legalization is done? Just out of pure curiosity how it works. So yeah, like, again, how I do it is I have a short-term account and a long-term account. The long-term, I use a lot less capital. I just buy and hold. I'm not selling it until U.S. legalization. Maybe you want to maybe it's not an event that you use for your long term. Maybe you say, okay, I'm going to hold it for 5 or 10 years. Maybe you put a time frame on it. Me, it's the catalyst. It's the event, the biggest event that we're ever going to experience in our lifetime, and that's U.S. legalization. Whether it happens in 2, 3, 5, 10 years, I don't care. It's a lot less capital, and it's money that I don't need that I'm just preparing to let sit. Then I also have MJ in a short-term account. So for example, Hexo, if it goes to $2.50, I'm not selling it in my long-term account. Tilray, if it goes to $10 in my long-term account, I'm not selling it because the U.S. didn't legalize. But in my short-term account, if Hexo goes to $2.50, I'm going to sell, some of the buys that I've been making recently at 17 cents. I'll sell those at $2.50. Then I might look to reload cheaper if it gets back to around $1.50 or $1. Average back in. But again, I'll look to make that decision when I get there. But my take profit levels I have set in my shorter term accounts. I'll take another take profit at $5. Tilray, I'll take profit at $10. My first take profit on Tilray in my short term account. But again, that's what I would encourage. Have a long term, have a short term account, and don't log into the long term account unless you're going to buy stuff, right? That's how I do it. $500,000 shares here. Wow. Whale. Well, like I said, you don't need, in my opinion, you don't need 500,000 shares of Hexo to be successful. Like I said, if you put $1,000 into Hexo, just $1,000 into Hexo right now, right? If we go back to all-time highs, or even just the February 2021 highs, that's 66x. That's $1,000 into $66,000. If you put $1,000 today, Canadian or US dollars, right? So about $1,300 Canadian. If we go to all-time highs, that's $200,000, right? So all you would need to do is put $5,000 US dollars into Hexo today, and if we hit new all-time highs, that's about $1 million, right? So you don't need to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars into an MJ stock to see life-changing gains, right? But again, if you're just looking to exit at $1 or something like that, well, that's a different opportunity. But to me, the most you can lose, 5,000, and the most you can make is $1 million plus. I would easily take those odds, right? But again, I own more than just Hexo. I own CGC. I own OGI. I own Canara Biotech. I own Tilray. I own HMMJ, the ETF. I own TrueLeaf, MSOS, the ETF. I own Cureleaf, Cresco, BAM, CL, right? CWeb, High Tide. Then I have more crypto than I do MJ, right? Dollar-wise. I'll look to change that here over the course of the next. Oh, look at this XRP pumping. Let's go. So again, I'm more excited when XRP pumps than MJ, right? Because I have way more money in MJ or in crypto than I do MJ, right? So again, this is just how I cope with this, and what I'm actually hoping for is that XRP sees its extension here on the fib levels. So I hope we get to these 3.618s, because that's exactly what Bitcoin and Ethereum did, right? Bitcoin hit its 3.618 extension from the high of 2017, 2018 to the low of the bull market in bear market in 2019. So then we came up, tested the 0.3618, so the 3.618, and then look, that did that. Then Ethereum did the same thing. So if Ethereum tested its 3.618, why can't XRP? So if XRP tests its 3.618, then that means we can expect about a $10 to $11 XRP price. So how much is that from current levels if we go to $10 to $11? That's about a 22x. That's a $1,000 investment into $22,000, right? So what I want to see is XRP shoot up to its 3.618, and then just like Bitcoin and Ethereum already did, and then I'll look to sell 80 to 90% of it. And then what I really hope happens is that MJ stays low, so that I can rotate those profits into more beaten down MJ. Or not, I don't care if it goes lower, as long as it stays somewhere around this range, right? Where it doesn't go like to all-time highs or anything. Even, if it does, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but I'm just hoping that MJ stays low at this point. And again, I have an Airbnb now. I just bought 2 condos in Edmonton. I'm looking at potentially buying a third and starting a second Airbnb. So again, if you're only looking at MJ, like I don't know how you guys do it. I'd be losing my ever-loving mind, right? That's why I'm focusing on crypto, because it's in a bull market, versus MJ, which is in a prolonged bear market, right? So if you're focusing on MJ, something that's in a prolonged bear market, and you're looking long, that's just an easy way to just get knocked out and quit, right? But if you're focusing majority of your investment capital on things that are in a bull market going long, then it's much easier on the head. Not to say there won't be major corrections, right? But overall, the structure is still here for a bull market and a potential blow off top in alt season, and then I'll be looking to focus on MJ over the next couple of years. Thank you, Shane. Yeah, thanks, Shane. Thanks for all your contributions, everybody, as well. Finally, someone with more shares than me. Hi, Rod. Welcome back. Yeah, so again, you don't need to compare yourself either. Thank you very much. It's good to be back as well. Thanks for joining the stream, Tim. But yeah, I mean, one thing I see a lot of is people comparing themselves and their positions, their dollar value, their portfolio to somebody else. Everybody's situation is different. Remember, some people just turn 18 and 19. They're just barely starting to invest. So they're probably not going to have a lot of money. So if you only have 100 shares or 200 shares or 1,000 shares, it is what it is. Everybody started somewhere, right? Or if you have 100,000 shares, well, maybe that person's 50 or 60 and they're looking to retire in a couple of years and they got all this money they don't know what to do with, right? So no two situations are the same. That's why they call it investor risk profiles. Your investment horizon is different. Some have a 20, 30, 40 year, maybe even 50 year investment horizon. Some have 5, 10, maybe even a year investment horizon, right? So you can't really compare yourself to other people. There's only your way, and just utilize knowing what your strengths and weaknesses are, right? So if you're a bad day trader or a bad swing trader, maybe you want to just buy and hold. But if you find it hard to buy and hold something and you get emotional, maybe you want to just do what Shane said, just buy the dips and sell the rips, right? So everybody's different. You just kind of have to figure out what's your trading style or what's your investing style. Personally, I know that data shows that you're better off to just buy and hold. And in a sector with as much growth with crypto and MJ, I'm just going to buy and hold, right? Because I don't need that money anyway. And I personally don't like being day trader. I used to do a little bit of it. I'll do a little bit more as we get more, like I said, if we start to hit 52-week highs, timing the market's probably going to be better than time in the market because we're likely due for a big correction. So I want to offload some of that risk and take the profits, and then maybe I'll sell the rips and buy the dips and sell the rips. But, you know, right now, I value my time too much, right? I'm barely ever on the computer when I'm not doing these videos or on live streams or Power Group community, helping them out. I'm on the computer a lot, but I'd rather not be, right? And if I was doing day trading, I'd be on it like 24/7, and that's not me, right? I want to be my own boss. If you don't want a job like me, if you start day trading, you have a new boss. The boss is the market, right? The boss is the financial markets, right? So to me, I'd rather not be a slave to the computer, and I'd rather just buy and hold positions. And like I said, I've been buying, like real estate is what taught me that, right? Is not getting in and out of positions. You buy and you hold and you wait. The hardest part is just waiting, right? Most people want to live in that instant gratification world. Can't wait 5 minutes, let alone 5 months or 5 years. But, you know, in one real estate property in 5 years over doubled. Actually, it was 7 years. But how many times, my friend in PEI in the East Coast of Canada bought a house for $200,000 and then 3 years later it was worth over $400,000. How many times has that happened in our history? Probably never. That's probably the first time, maybe even the last time that happens, right? But if you're only focused on MJ or crypto, then you miss the boat on that, right? Or if you're only focused in on like Toronto or Vancouver markets, well, you're cutting yourself short, right? So again, I was buying real estate when nobody wanted it in PEI, and then all of a sudden it caught back up to the rest of the market. It caught fire because of C19, obviously, the everything bubble of 2022. Couldn't have seen that coming. But again, I was prepared to capitalize on those opportunities. And I sold those properties, and now I'm buying beaten down real estate condo market here in Edmonton, right? So, all right, gonna start wrapping it up. Exactly. Yep, you bet. All right. Thanks everybody for your contributions. Thanks for joining the live stream. Gonna end it there. See, we still have over about a couple dozen people here after almost an hour. So once again, thanks again for joining us on The Pursuit of Wealth. It's Rob with Power Group. If you could smash the like if you think I earned it today, I would appreciate it. Share the video with anybody that might find value, and we'll see you again on the next update. I'll just check in on the Power Group community here as well, see if there's any major news developments. Nothing too earth-shattering that I'm seeing here. Canadian government tells hockey players in Russia and Belarus to leave. Interesting. Let's see here. MU just reported its financial reports as well. Microchip. And that's probably, microchips are probably going to get destroyed, right? Because Ethereum just switched to proof of stakes and are no longer doing proof of work. And then we have the supply shortages and everything as well. But yeah, just checking in on SPY here real quick. So we closed at 362. We're up to 363 after hours here. So again, I'll add a SPXS if we drop below 359, or I'll add it again if we get to around 383.90 on SPY. XRP still pumping. XLM following suit here as well. Going to be interesting. A lot of speculation that we could see a potential settlement with XRP and Ripple versus the clarity for XRP and a settlement with Ripple and the SEC any day. We could see any day as well the library case get a summary judgment, or it goes to trial. So we could even get a decision from the judge that either the library case or SEC win that case, or it might go to trial, right? So that could be over any day, or it might go to trial, could go on a little bit longer. Ripple and SEC case could end any day, or it could be summary judgment might not be to the end of March or April next year, right? So lots to be had, but I think over 95% of cases settle with the SEC that they bring on. So I think the odds are in their favor that we see a potential settlement. All right, going to end it there. Thanks again for joining us on The Pursuit of Wealth. Have a great night. We'll see you on the next video.